a drama with the live feed.
Yeah, definitely. Recording
Oh,
is nice.
yeah, nice to. Okay, going live. We'll see who gets on poll. It's always cool to check who's the number one qualifier.
Quick time. There you go.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, sweet. Oh, I didn't mean to say sweet, but you know what I mean. You can't say sweet anymore without someone going, is that what you meant? Now there's some guy called Brad, like, anyway, it is really good to catch up with you, everybody. I'll just let everyone sort of start to roll in on this Tuesday night. Didn't want to throw anybody out. We normally do this on a Wednesday night slide, but obviously it's a pretty busy week with high limit racing and outlaw racing midweek as well. So we thought we'd go to a Tuesday night slide and catch up with Daison Pursley here in just a moment. If you could press share on the old Facebook for us so we can get the message out as much as we possibly can, and everybody can be a part of this. And if you want to throw any questions at us while we're doing this, appreciate that as well. You're in Broken Arrow right now, mate. Yeah.
Yep, Broken Arrow. Kind of just like was down in Texas for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then decided to come on home and take a little midpoint break all on the way to Kansas.
Whenever I go to Broken Arrow, I'm always looking for Andy Hillenberg. What
Yeah.
what an absolute rock star of the industry! Like just one of the coolest cats ever.
Yeah, Andy. Andy was great. I was, too young, I guess, to really watch him in his prime and all of
Yeah.
that, but I get to hear great stories and everything. And yeah, it's cool that he's from around Broken Arrow and around here still.
But mind you, he's certainly not the only guy from Broken Arrow because there's been, a lot of BAD A55s come from that region. So, Oklahoma has certainly been let's talk about the Macho Man to start with. Like Brady is, an important part of that culture as well. So I feel like in the last few years in particular, although as you go back through the Outlaws and through all that sort of stuff, Oklahoma has been a hotbed for open wheel racing, Dason.
Yeah, Oklahoma's, I feel like as good as one of the states as any other. I mean, you have, California, of course, that everyone talks about of wing sprint car racing and all the good people that come from there. But
Yeah.
over the years, Oklahoma has, produced some really good race car drivers, I feel like as well too. And forever, some reason, whatever breeds us here differently than some is something that I'm excited to be a part of. So yeah, it's cool. There's a lot of great things that happen in Oklahoma for sure.
It's R&R, right? Rodeo and racing.
Yeah, that's about all we got over here.
And two of the greatest country music singers, in the world have come from there, like Garth Brooks and of course Toby Keith that we just lost recently. I remember I was driving through a couple of years ago with my sons. We went through Norman and we're just driving through there, and there was a big old water tower that said, the home of Toby Keith, and that was when he was in that period where he was really battling his health. Is country music a big thing for you?
Oh, I love country music. I'm like
Yeah.
a huge Zach Bryan fan right now, or kind of have been over the
Yeah.
last couple of years. But
Yep.
Zach Bryan's really good. Just kind of just like red dirt country in general, is something that I always am on my playlist and everything. But again, just close enough to Texas where we have a lot of good country singers, and then sometimes race car
Yeah.
drivers get mixed into that little fight as well too.
There's a really cool old Aussie guy called Keith Urban that goes all right too.
Yeah, he does go all right too. He does go all right as well too.
So, mate, let's talk about your family before we even get into the racing side of things. There is not one traditional named person, apart from maybe Mackenzie, in your whole family with the way things are spelt, the way things are laid out. Explain to people. And by the way, you're the first Dason that I've ever met. Have you met any other Dasons?
So I've met two. One time my family, we were floating down a river. I was probably, I don't even know how old I was. If I had to guess, I was like 6 or 7. We were floating down the river, just having a good time. I don't know if it was 4th of July or just a weekend off before we started racing. Um, we were floating down the river. My mom was yelling at me like, "Hey, get in the boat! Like there's rough water coming up or whatever." And sure enough, a random guy just jumped in the boat, and his name was Dason. And my mom was yelling at me, and this random, kind of drunker guy, he just climbed in the boat with us and said, "Why are you yelling at me? Like it was what's the matter stuff?" And he goes, "My name's like Dason as well too." So that was our first encounter with a Dason, and then I forget where I was at, what track we were at, but then a random fan came up and said that they named their kid Dason, and they bought this shirt for him and everything, and wanted me to sign it as well too. So that was cool. One of the first experience that someone was named after me. So find a lot of enjoyment in that kind of getting people named off of me is pretty cool.
How old are you, Dason?
20 years old. Yeah.
So you're 20 and there are people naming their kids after you. That's kind of surreal, right?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely feels very surreal and it definitely cool. Like I always made fun of my parents, like, oh, I don't really like my name, but I don't even know what I would change it to if I could change my name or wanted to change my name. But I always just like teasing my parents about, why'd you name me this or why'd you name me that? Just because it's so hard to pronounce for some people. But after hearing somebody say they named, their own kid after me is pretty dang special.
So Clint is not an unusual name for Oklahoma. In fact, I would think that it would be a reasonably common name. And no disrespect to dad when I say that, but the way it's spelt is what's unique.
Yeah, so like I always knew like or anybody I guess in the racing world knows Clint Boyer, of course, and his is spelt with a C as well too. So yeah, for some reason my dad is his is spelt with a K as well too. So I don't know if it's just like a Locust Grove thing of where we're from or where we grew up that we have oddball names, but anytime I tell people that my dad's name is Clint, I always have to say with a K, just to make them laugh a little bit and get their brain turning of what's wrong with these people, I guess.
And mum is Shonda or Shonda, as you guys, we say it strangely, a Shonda. But that's fairly, I don't think I've ever met a Shonda either. So is that a reasonably well-known name in OK?
Not that I know of, honestly, and sometimes like some people will call it Shawanda as well too. They will say it like that as well too. So, just a lot of different names that's a part of my family that we have that we have like acquired and stuff over the years. And my parents definitely didn't stop with the strange name or strange names after they were born. They kept on going with that tradition, I guess.
Shawanda. Wow.
Yeah, that one was funny.
There's a Dead Poets Society is one of the greatest films of all time, and there's Nawanda, but that's definitely
Yeah.
not Wanda. The name is Nawanda, Neil. So Kenzie and Kennedy, you got two sisters and a brother as well. Now Traden, I mean that's a little out there. I've never ever met a Traden before, but in your world, Traden slide jobs is a thing.
Yeah, it's I had a childhood friend growing up too that was trading. He was spelt a little bit different than my brothers, but yeah, another unique name that I don't really know where they came from. And I'm sure my parents have told us over the years of why they named us this or that. But yeah, I can't really remember on why they named my brother that or what was going on in their mind when they decided to name him, I guess.
I was talking to Wayne Johnson last week on the show, so it's cool to keep that OK flow going with that as well. And he was saying that his dad raced modifieds and late models. That was the thing. It seemed like back in the day in Oklahoma, and that was a similar path that your dad raced here.
Yeah, my dad, he raced, modifieds was something that he mainly raced, and he was pretty successful at. And then he tried to dabble around in the late models and everything, but was just never as good as he was in the modifieds and stuff. And then really didn't have the funding as well to take that next step in the late models to be really competitive. So, yeah, he was a first generational, racer in our family, and he just started out just going to the races with a whole bunch of buddies, and then sure enough, they bought a little Crown Vic or whatever and knocked the windows out of it and started racing. And then, it turned into something where he figured out he could make a little bit more money doing it and getting to travel a little bit more and just living all that life that we love now. So yeah, it was cool. I wish I would have got to watch him race and stuff, but unfortunately he stopped racing about a year or two before I was born. He said I was the fourth kid, so he had to actually go to work then.
Brown Vics, they've become kind of a bit of a legend on their own these days, haven't they? Like if you got a Brown Vic out in the yard somewhere, it's kind of pretty BAD 855.
Yeah, yeah, you did something cool back in the day if you're owning a Crown Vic and it's just sitting out there in your yard.
Now, Shawanda was a pretty impressive basketball player. Yeah.
Yeah, she was really good at basketball I hear too. I always tell people I can't tell them the truth because I don't really know. I wasn't born back in the day to really have their own opinion or my own opinion of how good they really were. But yeah, she was good. She went to she played all through high school at Locust Grove and everything, and then went 2 years to, like, a little small college, in Miami, Oklahoma called NEO, and then, played 2 years at K-State too. So, yeah, it's cool. You can, look her up and everything, and,
Oh,
she was pretty talented as well back in the day too. So, just a lot of competitiveness that my family has raised in us, and, that's definitely what makes us fun too.
so I'm a diehard Hawkeyes fan. So I'm just going to say that she was the Caitlin
Uh-oh.
Clark of Oklahoma back in the day. All right, go Hawks.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly, I guess, huh?
So, do any of your brothers and sisters have they raced at any point?
No, they never raced. My brother was really good at football. His senior year, he had like a phenomenal year, and I think ended up like fourth or something in their division that year, his senior year. And then my sister, her senior year, she like ended up first in her division and like won a gold ball in basketball. And then my other sister as well played basketball too. So all of us played sports and stuff. So our family events when we all got together for a little cookout or Thanksgiving dinner, there was some sport being played, and sometimes it got a little out of hand for sure.
So, Locust Grove, mate, how many people live there, and what percentage of them are Pursleys? Because I would imagine that everybody knows you guys.
Yeah, that literally the town is everyone knows everyone. So yeah, I don't know. I haven't looked in quite some time of like the population, but the last time I looked, I want to say there was like 1,500, I think was the
Oh,
last time I looked, and I don't know how long ago that was, but in my class, I know when I went to school, this was like 8th grade, like in my class, I mean, I knew every student in my class or whatever. There was maybe like 100, kids in my class. So like very, very small and stuff where we just yeah, I mean, you just knew everybody. If you got in trouble with anybody, someone was going to know it or your parents were going to find out. So there was no no secrets kept around that little small town.
so in your yearbook, what would it say with Daison Pursley is most likely to, or was there a racing fix that you wanted? Because it wasn't that long ago that you were at school, by the way.
Yeah, so I can't really remember because I didn't go to high school. I went to I did online school in 8th grade, I think, or no, maybe 7th grade or 8th grade was my last year in public
Wow.
school. And then when racing got serious and I felt like and my parents felt like I was gonna, have something or a little career, at doing it, then they decided that I was traveling too much. I was missing too much school. So for my best education, I had to kind of do it online. So we went that direction for the, 4 years of high school. So I never really got that like yearbook or like those, go
Hmm.
to school dance, type things, just because I was so in love with racing that this is, all I wanted to do. And I was going to do anything I could to make sure that, if an opportunity showed up my way, that I was going to make the most of it.
So your first experience behind the wheel of a race car didn't end very well, and you could have maybe just walked away from the whole deal and said, "I'm just going to go play football or something," right?
Yeah, that's exactly how it went. So, yeah, my dad, he showed up because my uncle raced sprint car or micro sprints and everything as well too. So I would always go watch the races, but I never showed any interest. And then I was about 6 years old, and my dad just showed up with a little junior sprint, and he was like, "Oh, let's just try to see if you would like driving and stuff." So yeah, we were practicing in the yard and doing all that and everything, and then went to a racetrack and everything, and went to Port City and went up to a little play day and everything, and I ended up getting upside down, and I was just like, ah, this isn't for me. Like I'm gonna go play football and basketball and do all those things, and then it was about would have been six then. It was about 4 or 5 years later. We were walking around the expo center at the Tulsa Shootout, just watching the races, and I looked at my dad and said, "I think I want to try this racing thing again. Like I want to drive." So that night, he literally bought a race car.
That night.
Uh, that night, we that night bought a race car, and then it was actually Andrew Dill. He's like a sprint car racer around
Mhm.
here and
Yeah.
everything that races ASCS. It was his micro that we bought, and we loaded it up that night in the back of the truck and showed up the next morning, and mom said, "Uh-oh." And then ever since then, it was going to practice days and racing, and yeah, the rest was history.
So I was wondering about mum with this one. I was wondering whether dad was like, all right, let's just keep this on the down low. We'll tell your mother later. Or how did that work? Was she supportive right from the get-go? Did she expect this?
Yeah, she probably expected it just because of how much interest that I did show. You know, watching it, it was kind of only a matter of time before that I probably wanted to get behind the seat. And she's supportive, I mean, through every step of the way. I feel like no matter she was honestly more competitive than my dad was, I feel like at some points. So it was cool. It was cool to have those two as a parent and stuff teach me and guide me along the way in this, you know, industry called motorsports. And I've had a lot of good two, you know, two great parents that have taught me a lot, you know, through this life as well.
So I'm not sure whether it's a chicken and egg thing with micro racing and Oklahoma, whether it was the Expo Center stuff, the shootout stuff that has really, lit a fire under micro racing in Okie because that's where you're going to go, obviously, at the end of the year. But a lot of those places, like Shane Stewart's doing a great job with Port City, and there's a real culture for micro racing. It seems like if you're not going outlaw kart racing in other parts of America, that's the path that you head, Dason.
Yeah, micro sprints are just huge in Oklahoma. I mean, they've only grown over the last couple of years. Like when I was kind of exiting my time in them, and like I mean, they're just massive around Oklahoma right now, especially and into Pennsylvania and into California. Like those are your three major states that produce some really good micro sprint racers and races and crown jewel events now almost in micros. So yeah, I mean, like you said it, Shane Stewart does a phenomenal job with Port City, but
Yeah.
Port's been around forever, and it's just a little small bull ring there in Catoosa, Oklahoma, that produces some really good racing on an average Saturday night where you know your grassroots stars are once born and everything like people say. And then I mean you drive 2.5 hours up to Oklahoma City, in Moore, Oklahoma, and then you have like Christopher Bell's home track is I-44 Riverside, and like that place is a phenomenal racetrack as well too that produces really good micro sprint racing as well. So yeah, I mean I just feel like in the span of 2.5 hours here you have really two good micro tracks that, you know, unfortunately compete on the same night, Saturday nights on weekly things.
Yeah.
But both of them get really good car counts. And I mean, you go to one place or the other, and it's going to be hard to beat those local boys.
So in your early stuff with the micro, was it mainly wing or non-wing or combination, or like how did that work for you?
Yeah, a little bit of combination. So they have like a restricted class, and that's just like strictly wing racing. So grew up doing that. That's kind of what I started when I was 10. Did that all the way up until I was about 12 years old. So did that for 2 years. And then when I was 12, we took the restrictor plate out. Same car, same set of wings, everything. You just take the restrictor plate out, and then you can start running wing and non-wing in that one class. It's called A class and non-wing, just like a stock motor with just like your average, you know, car, and then wing and non-wing. So we did that, and then you can run that same car where you pull the wings on and off. You can run that same car in two different classes that night. So there's dad and I and mom. We got this one car. We're pulling wings on and off of it, and then going out there and racing. You know, double the laps and double the everything for me to just get
Mm.
better. And then there's an outlaw class as well too, where it's the same chassis, you just buy bigger wings, and then of course you can do a little bit, you know, more to the motor as well too. So when I was racing at Port City, you could race three classes in one night,
Wow.
and that's your average like Saturday night. So yeah, we did that for about till I was 13. We did that for like 2 years. Like, I mean, every night, hard as can be, just running, you know, three classes. I'm
Yeah.
out of breath getting in one or whatever, but it just built endurance and everything. And then my dad always taught me just like to never say no to an opportunity. So
Mm.
when you go out there and you race as hard as possible for 30 laps and then go out there and race another 30 laps and another 30 laps, like you're only going to get better. So, yeah, that's what we did for a little while. And then started traveling a little bit too with a little series called like Now 600. It was a micro series, and yeah, started doing that and everything. And then that's when I found a love that, oh, you can travel, and some of these people are doing the same things that we doing in Kansas and in Texas and all that. And it just made it it made it cool to meet new people along the way.
Is Shawanda on the tools as well, mate? Like, is she working on this hot rod with dad? Is she swinging the spanners, or how does that work?
Yeah, she if she really had to, she for sure could. But I mean, yeah, just originally like it was just me and dad working on everything and then mom would come out there and help if she needed to or if I crashed big one time, mom was going to be helping us when we were really in thrash and stuff, putting fuel in the car or whatever. But yeah, she's not afraid to get dirty and everything and help us out when she wants to see her son succeed for sure.
I have spoken to a couple of my friends that are promoters of micro racing, and they said that the parents are a pretty powerful factor, in a good and a bad way. Like, it's extremely competitive. There's a lot of parents that might be maybe living vicariously through their kids. So the environment can be, competitive on the racetrack, but super competitive off it. Has that been something in your experience as well? That's like, oh wow, like, hang on, we're kids racing these things.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I feel like it's probably very hard to get away from that some things too. Just kind of in any sport really, because every parent wants the best for their kid and everything, and that's just how life is. But I feel like with just how much more people are paying attention to micros now from then
Yeah,
when I was around. And like again, it's so easy to set on your couch with flow racing and dirt vision and all of
yeah,
these things. And I mean, you can literally pull up a micro sprint race at Port City on Flow, and it's just like the streaming and all of these things, and you can look up a result super fast on My Race Pass. So like, I mean, it gets down to Saturday night on the micro races, like it means something to the kids, the parents, like people that there's all these eyes on them. So like it just almost gets more and more competitive, for sure. And I feel like each and every one of these kids and parents just take it that much to heart that like if I want to make it in this industry, like we have to do good now. Like we can't wait.
yeah,
My kid can't wait 5 more races to learn a little bit more. But in reality, like he does need to just wait a little bit more to get better, and it takes time, and all the car owners and stuff know that it takes time, and the people that are watching and the people that have been around it. But for some reason, I feel like when these parents first get involved into the sport, they want their kid to do good instantly. Of course, just like everyone would, but that's just kind of how it is. And it's so easy to like, oh, this kid didn't waste any time. He's good right away because we
yeah.
can jump on the streaming platform or My Race Pass and look up literally anything we want to know.
There seems to be a pretty defined path that you can follow now from that point, Dason, and your career looks just like that. From micro to midget to non-wing sprint to now 410 wing sprint and 360 sprint in between. So it actually seems to be a clear pathway. If you went back to Jeff Gordon, people like that, I think they started in like core midgets and things like that. And then there was kind of no real progression point beyond that. It was like Jeff went to Findlay, Ohio as a 13-year-old to learn to drive sprint cars because you could do that. Whereas in California, you couldn't. So seems like when you look at the Macedos and people like that in a little tiny town called Lemoore, there's a
Yeah.
really badass little track right on the highway in Lemoore where the Macedo kids grew up. And seems like there's a cool pathway, at least, for a driver to follow.
Yeah, definitely. I think, Oklahoma, like you said, Lemoore has their little micro track, and Oklahoma, I feel like has Port City. So,
Yeah,
yeah, definitely a unique path. I feel like, Oklahoma's you have some midgets with Power Eye National and all that kind of circulating through Oklahoma and Illinois in that area. And unfortunately, we don't really get that many 410 wing races around Oklahoma that much anymore with a couple of the or tracks closing down and stuff like that. We don't really get
yeah,
those, national really big touring series through Oklahoma anymore. So midget racing is kind of just like as kids, that's just like what we want to do because we get to watch them with our eyes when they do come through. So yeah, midget racing, I guess, is like the next step. And then my family was fortunate enough to get hooked up with Keith Coons and all of them. And Keith, of course, is no slouch when you get in his equipment. And then the opportunity that you get that comes along with Keith Coons' name and the opportunities and it's just it's crazy really to look back on and all the people that I've met when I went with Keith and raced midgets and to do all
yeah,
those things. It's a cool deal. So I raced for Keith in 2019 when I was 14 and ran Power Eye with him, and then was able to race for him for 2019, 2020 COVID year. and then 2021, and then some of 2022 as well too. So yeah, I got to learn a lot through Keith. His, development program is to make sure people get hired as a race car driver one day, and when that happens, he feels like he did his job, and nonetheless, Keith did a phenomenal job developing me. I helped, it felt like it sped up my learning process of what I do, and went through a lot of good and bad with him as well too.
Yeah.
And just all the lessons that he has to teach you is something that definitely money can't buy. If you ever get the chance to race with him and everything, he just has been through it all, has seen it all,
Yeah.
and he's just a very good mentor, teacher, and helps you on and off the track to become the best version of yourself inside of this thing that we all love.
His Your dad was very shrewd in in picking up on that early, and not everybody can afford to just go, "Hey, I'm going to cut a check to Keith Coons Motorsport and say, can you?" Because let's face it, Keith would probably have 500 kids that wanted to line up and do that. So his brand in particular in the last couple of years has just gone kaboom. But it was a great start point for you and morph into that into midget racing as well. But you probably gave him a real passion for micro racing as well. I think to the point now where he's very focused on that as an industry as well, isn't he? Because he would see it as well as a nursery to get into midget racing. So if you get him this point, you can then get him here.
Definitely, and that's something that, yeah, I was very fortunate enough to be when Keith showed interest into micro racing, kind of had questions, to have about micro racing. I was there driving for him, and that was kind of the path that I took. So he kind of just went to us, my dad and I, to answer some of those questions that he had, and yeah, it was 2021. He just brought the idea to us to go. What are these little 600 cc little motors things, and like what can we do to help grow them and everything. And I think at that time there was maybe only like two to three like 10,000 to win micro sprint races, and I mean they were huge. I mean, like I went my very first year with them, and there was probably 75 to 90 cars there on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday show, and it was 10K to win. I don't even know what it paid to run second, probably nothing, but it was 10K to win, and that's all that was advertised. And I mean, we went out there and just, yeah, it was just like a special place to do. And then now looking at it with what Keith has got involved and, the events that he has put on, and
Yeah.
like you said, kind of the nursery to get into midget racing and everything. And then he's also, done a lot for the sport of micro racing to have, these 10K events all over the, country now. I feel like in Illinois and in Oklahoma to win a midget ride at Chili Bowl, and then yeah, some in California, and it's crazy to see what Keith has done to the sport of micro racing to help grow it, and then of course to help put more eyes on it as well too. When a young kid is doing good in Missouri and in Illinois, and they're traveling and stuff, and then next thing you know, Keith has eyes on them, and he's shouting them out on social
Yeah.
media, and then the sky's the limit from there when you have Keith Coons kind of seeing how good you really are.
It would be easy to think that everybody has a dad that knows about the industry, who's raced themselves. The most notable exception to that is Kyle Larson, whose dad really had both his parents really had no background in racing. But let's look at Corey Day, whose dad, Ronnie, was one of the real badasses of Californian sprint car racing and knows the industry. So I imagine he's guided Corey a lot, where to go and getting with Jason Myers. Now it's like this onward spiral. Your dad has obviously guided you. Do you sort of communicate regularly with what you're doing? And all right, let's do this. Was there always a plan to get straight to midgets, or were you already thinking midgets are going to be here, but I still want to get to sprints? Or where was your mindset when you started to map this out?
Yeah, I mean, all that I knew is that like I just want to race. I just don't want to have to get one of those things that people call an everyday job. Like I just want to try to avoid that situation.
Well, you
So,
avoided everyday
um,
school, so you might as well avoid
yeah.
the job, right?
Yeah, that was my plan at least. But yeah, no, that was one of those things where like, I feel like dad and mom and even me, like I didn't really know what this could really turn into
Mhm.
until I started talking to Keith. And that was kind of like the big turning point of like Keith showing us, letting Keith, showing us people that we can meet that can help us to do
Yeah.
other things that I want to do, no matter if that's, late model racing or no modified racing or, NASCAR route or wing sprint car route. Like Keith has just been around the sport, and there's so many people that have respect for him that he can go and talk to absolutely anybody and give you the opportunity that you need. So that was kind of what, mom, dad, and I did was just go talk to Keith and, have a good point of, what direction it looks like to
Yeah.
go. This needs to go here, this needs to go there, and how it all kind of works out. And yeah, once we kind of did all of that, it was just one of those things where it made the most sense for me. Of course, as any other a kid would do, they just dream of racing, and that's kind of what I wanted to do, no matter if that was NASCAR, 410 sprint cars, or race USAC. Yeah, it was just something that I wanted to do was just kind of race. And when I very first got to, lay my eyes on 410 wing sprint cars, I mean, it's just crazy. It's just there's no other word to put it. Like, I mean, how fast they are, how technical you have to be, how calculated you have to be for 30 laps, and then yeah, just something that I wanted to do. And then I've got a lot of opportunities to race for a lot of great teams over the years
Yeah.
that have gotten, to put me where I am today. And then I've met a lot of great people, starting with Keith, and then Andy Ryanbold was probably the first person that really hired me to drive a race car for him. So yeah, I mean, just crazy amount of people. And then through areas like through Andy Ryanbold's Arizona crowd, I met like the Burkharts and all of them
Yeah.
and drove their car in the 21 AZ that season. So just like a snowball effect of all these great people that I've met over the years. And it finally worked out where last year I was able to put all the pieces together, and then was able to have a very successful year, and then kind of launched me into the wing sprint car stuff, which was my next step that I wanted to accomplish.
The cool part is when you go back to Jeff Gordon and Tony Stewart and those guys, they were all USAC, superstars in midget racing, both on pavement, and on dirt. But the beautiful part is that midget racing survives as its own great, fantastic brand, but it's also seen more now as sprint car teams looking at you midget guys saying, "He was good." I'm not sure it was always that feeling, that the reemergence, I think, explosion of midget racing and having Kyle and guys like that and Christopher running those cars consistently, has certainly helped that. But seems like non wing guys are not so prepared to look the other way when there's a midget guy standing like he'd be good, and that's what you and Corey are a great example of that.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, just like it's just a stepping stone now, I feel like is what midget racing is. Just because it's turned into that kind of like developmental
Yeah,
kind of thing, as some people would say. So it's just kind of just like I would call it like a stepping stone of like what we do in our kind of sport that we have now. I think that USAC racing is great. I mean, you get to race a non-wing car one weekend, then you get to jump into a midget, and then sometimes you get to run, the Silver Crown stuff on a mile. Like all that stuff is so
wow.
cool, and it teaches you so much different things and diversity and teaches you so much as a driver. So, yeah, I mean, in my personal opinion, all those things that non-wing cars teach you, no matter if it's the fear level when you have no wing on top of you at a half mile, or when you're racing a midget on a little tiny bull ring where your reflexes have to be fast, or when you go to, a Silver Crown race and you have to manage this big fuel cell that, you have to run 100 laps on a mile racetrack in the rubber. So there's just so many different things that as a driver that you can learn in USAC. And then I think when it, really comes down to it and you want to make a living doing this stuff and you want to look at yourself longevity wise of your health and your body and everything, you sadly can't do what USAC does because of just the danger and the fear factor
Yep.
of racing in general. But USAC non-wing cars, I mean, it's no joke for sure. So when you look at the longevity of it and everything, if you're very fortunate enough and you're young enough, I feel like you definitely have to attempt to go wing racing just because of how much, money and sponsors and teams and everything, and how much the sport is growing, absolutely in a hurry. I feel like is something that when you get the opportunity to, you have to take full advantage of to go wing racing for sure.
Jason, I have a friend who was a 10 times Australian Speedway motorcycle champion and a number two in the world in Speedway Grand Prix. He's an Aussie named Lee Adams. And Lee finished his international career after 20 plus years riding overseas in Poland and England and Sweden and, you know, almost relatively incident free, except for a collarbone and a couple of things like that. And he came back and rode a desert race, bucket list thing you'd always wanted to do. And he crashed in practice and he was paralyzed from the waist down. And I shot a documentary with Lee because we put him in a sprint car to have a drive, in his wheelchair. We hooked up hand controls on the steering wheel and made that happen. But in my discussion with Lee, he uses this term, you just have to play the cards that you're dealt. So when he was in that rehab moment where he was basically facing the fact he would never walk again, something in his brain just went, well, this is, I got to go. I got to do this. And there had to be a period where he had to be thinking, oh my God, my life's over. I'm going to miss all these things. You've, in a very quick space of time, went from this young gasser to laying in a hospital bed with no feeling in your body at all. And yet you're very optimistic and you were very much, I'm getting back, I'm going to do this. And incredibly, within a year, you were back doing that. But there had to be a point, mate, where even as a young man, you were thinking, all this is gone.
I mean, I'd be lying to you if I said no. But yeah, I mean, it's just it's crazy, like especially what you just said to put those into words and put them into your thoughts again after 3 or 4 years, however long ago it's been. It's just it's crazy. It's crazy to look back on for sure, and it's something that you don't wish on anybody going through those hard feelings and times that you went through with your family and everything. But um I mean, yeah, from the day that I you know was laying in the hospital bed of not moving anything or feeling anything, it was just oh, what kind of happened, or why, or all of these things you just question your whole life basically. And your parents are sitting there questioning why they let their
Correct.
10-year-old kid race and do all these things, right? So it's just a hard time. But mm, yeah, I mean, the main thing is when I started to get a little bit of movement back in my leg and then into my hand, then into my other leg and into my other hand as well too. It was like, well, I'm racing it again. Like there's just no way about it. Like I'm just gonna do it. So yeah, I told my parents that this is what I wanted to do. This is, what's gonna happen. And they, they set me down and just told me that this is 110% my decision. They're going to go and be supportive with if I quit racing right now and never stepped, foot in a race car again, or if I wanted to go all out harder than ever, then they were going to support me with whatever. So me having that support behind my parents just, led me to I feel like have a super successful, rehab and with the racing community behind me as well. I mean, we're all competitors and we all, want to win just as bad as the next person next to us. But when something happens in this motorsports industry like that, we all come together more than ever, and the community as a whole is just incredible. So when I jump on, Facebook or on social media, when I'm there, laying in bed, not really wanting to do rehab or not really wanting to do anything, and I get to reading all these special messages to me, to my family and everything,
Yeah.
I found a different kind of like encouragement of just like, all these
Yeah.
people want me to get better, all these people want to see me succeed in life again. And yeah, that was something that I got up every day to motivate me to get better and to get in a race car again. And I never thought I would, definitely never thought I would win again or be good. But yeah, here we are where everything seems to work out to plan because of one special thing for sure.
Harley White is an inspiring story as well, and obviously she's from your part of the world as well, and that's kind of an irony I just thought about as I was talking to you. Harley, it would have she kind of gets not defined, but you can't talk about Harley with someone new without them going, "Oh, that's the girl who caught on fire." With Dason, it's like, "Well, that's the guy that was paralyzed in a big wreck in Arizona." It's not something that should define your career. Um, and Harley has, she's an incredibly determined young woman anyway, and her parents probably quite similar to yours, mate. Very driven by faith, very much focused on the greater power and that ability of focusing your life into your faith. So it's kind of interesting that you and Harley have a similar pathway in that you've never let the passion for racing be extinguished.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely, I mean, a huge part of anything is when you have faith, you can always just, go to hard times or whatever, and it's easy to find hard times as, humans that we are. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, there's one person I feel like that can control a lot of situations, and it's the man above for sure. So yeah, I've just been very fortunate enough to grow up in a family that's, religious and has, a strong will and everything to lean on him and everything. And I've just met, a lot of great people along the way too of racing and
Yep.
running into all these people that have the same beliefs and everything and can share different points of view, what they've encountered with him and everything. So Yeah, just a huge, huge, just like thank you. I mean, thank you's never enough for anything that I have went through or whatever, but just a believer in something like that can only happen because of one person when doctors can't even say what's going on as well either. So yeah, just extremely thankful for everything that I've been through, the good and the bad, but I wouldn't change anything along the way of that I've had in my life right now.
So you've morphed into you've gone from the micro to the midget racing to non-wing sprints, which are just considered to be one of the biggest sets of BALLSs you can have to run those things. And you talked about Silver Crown and Champ Cup and things like that to 410 jumping across a whole range of your life here in 4 years since your accident. Like quite incredible to think how much has happened in that time. To now be teamed up with a Pennsylvania team, a pretty cool, Pelicorp team, the Book Motorsports team, to be running with High Limit and doing that. And I noticed you've got like 19 races with the wing on in 40 days or something like that coming up in Kansas this weekend. And so, how do you possibly manage, Jason? Is it you and your dad that sit down and go, well, we can hit this with the 13, and then we'll make sure we do this with, like, how do you figure that out?
Yeah, that's just kind of like going back to what my dad has always said, like when you have opportunities, the worst thing that he feels like he can do and he's taught me to do is just say no. Like you just go out there and I feel like I have a different way of looking at it now too as well. Me personally is just because I've got racing taken away from me one time.
Yeah,
So when there's opportunities that I'm getting to race every single weekend, then I'm 110% gonna just say yes. And I've understand from the people that's been doing it a long time is like, you can't your body can't keep up or you're gonna get mentally tired when you're on the road this much or whatever. But like I said, I've gotten this thing taken away from me one time, so I just want to race as hard as I possibly can for however long I can, just because you never know when that day is going to get to come to an end. So I'm just going to enjoy it all when I can, and how I am when I'm younger. So yeah, I mean, Dad and I just kind of sit down, look at the schedules, and
yeah,
he kind of allows me to get to travel as much as I do because he gets to or he drives the t-shirt trailer around for me. He drives the motorhome and stuff around for me. So it takes a huge amount of like stress off of me. I have my parents where they're fortunate enough to still come and run their business from the phone and everything and get to travel with me. So once again, it makes my job so much more easier to just kind of, pop in here, pop in there, and then still get to race as well too. So yeah, I just have a lot of great people around me that allow me to go race. And Chad Boat with CB Industries allows me to still come and run his midgets and in the non-wing car and everything. And then
yeah.
yeah, Tom Book with the wing sprint car allows me to, I mean, take a chance on this kid that ran, I don't know, 10 wing races last year and did decent at half of them. So just a lot of great people that have allowed me to get to race as much as I do this year. A major sponsor with, Jerry Petty with Avani Windows and Doors has helped open so many opportunities and doors for me to continue to chase my dreams. And yeah, it was a goal of mine to always get in that wing 410, and he allowed me to do that with just everything that he has going on with him, and the support that he has in the racing community, no matter if it's cars or supporting events or tracks. Now he owns one in Arizona, so he's just a super dirt race fan that I'm very fortunate enough to get hooked up with and to have a relationship with that allows me to get to chase my dreams as well.
I probably should have referenced Kevin Swindell earlier. There's a guy who certainly paid a huge price for his passion, for open wheel racing, and tragically, was paralyzed in a wreck at Knoxville during the Nationals a few years back, but has just refocused his passion for that and created quite a phenomenal brand of his own, both with Victory Fuel and with his own race program as well. So there's another guy I just wanted to put a shout out while we're talking about that. You've raced already, like you said, for several teams. I love the fact that you've raced with KKM, one of the juggernauts of world racing, but you've also raced for Brandon Eikenberry. And I got to say, Iker was one of the coolest cats that I've ever met. He's such a good dude. And that's what I love about our sport, Dason. People like Brandon Eikenberry are just good people.
Yeah, I mean, great people, just like you said, him and Justin Giddings, I mean, they were in the same boat. I mean, like I just started ringing their phone up when they were looking for a driver and everything about mid-season last year, and I was just like, just let me race, like just why not? Just like let me race almost is kind of just what I was saying. And
Yeah.
yeah, it was just one of those things that I don't know why they took a chance on me or whatever, but yeah, they did, and we were able to work it out where I got to run 3 races in their car in one weekend. Went to Knoxville, first time at Knoxville in a wing car. I was like, oh yeah, just go out there and hold the steering wheel straight, like this thing will drive itself around there. And then I'm ripping down the back straightaway and everything, and I'm like, holy crap, I am like flying around here. So, yeah, that was like the first time I had like a whole realization of like, this stuff is so hard. I have a whole different appreciation of, everyone that drives these cars just because, you know, looking from the outside looking in, it's just like I said. I mean, just don't turn the steering wheel, just hold it straight, and they'll drive yourself around this big, half-mile racetrack. But there's so much more, of course, going on inside of it. Yeah, and it's just it's fun. But Brandon and Justin Giddings, gave me an opportunity of a lifetime to kind of show people in every interview that like, this is what I want to do is go wing sprint car racing. This is what I find of, hard and enjoyment in and everything. And like I said, with the longevity and stuff, doing it that way, it's something that isn't, I would say, much safer because you can get hurt in anything you do in life, but it's just something that longevity wise makes the most sense for someone's human body. So yeah, just Brandon is someone that has, showed me a lot of great opportunities and stuff,
Yeah.
and has introduced me to a lot of great people. And he's definitely no dummy for sure behind the wrench. He's one of the smartest people out there for sure.
Pretty sure he's got a young Aussie kid named Jai Corbett jumping in behind the wheel of the Deuce Five this year, which is super exciting because young Jai is a great racer. I always say that the Mrs. Giddings, she's a very lucky woman. She's what we call batting above her average with snow. There's no doubt. He's a very handsome man, as you know.
Yeah,
Um,
it's great.
Knoxville Raceway for a 20-year-old kid from Oklahoma. Is it lost on you how magical that place is when you roll through those gates of that turn 4 pit gate there, and then that big old grandstand is there and that big old grandstand's there? Is it lost on you how what a privilege it is to race there?
Definitely. So I didn't really understood how big Knoxville like really was racing wise. I would
Yeah.
feel like in until like 2019. I went to the Knoxville Nationals for the very first time in 2019, and it was, I mean, I went with my mom and dad, and like huge, like just the atmosphere once again, it just like hit me that like there's so many people here to watch these, 75 sprint cars go around in this circle. The atmosphere here is, immaculate. And at that time, I only knew of the Chili Bowl being that big of an event. So when I showed up in the middle of August to Knoxville, Iowa, and seen all these campers and people and everything here, and then yeah, just something that I wanted to do, wanted to race at, wanted to accomplish, wanted to compete in. And yeah, ever since that was, that week in 2019 where I was able to go to the nationals, it was crazy, and then was finally able to get to go to the track in the non-wing car in 2023, and then was able to finally run that wing car with Brandon Eikenberry and Justin Giddings in or last year. So it was just it was great to finally get to rip laps around that place and everything, and then was able to run the nationals last year with Brandon Eikenberry and them as well, and just to kind of see the atmosphere and the people, and when you're rolling around the track out there to see all the lights and everything is second to none feeling for sure.
I feel like I'm going to be in trouble because Shonda and Clint Pursley have a joint Facebook account. Somebody here has just commented, "You're going to have everyone thinking it's Shawanda." Now, this makes me nervous that it's either your dad. I've got a feeling it's your mom that's on the page here. So, and then Snow's like, You mean it's not? Sorry, Shawanda, but I'm gonna have to. Shawanda and Clint with a K. I think they need their own shirts. I'm gonna say. You
Yeah,
said,
Snow can probably do
yeah, oh yeah.
that.
I did hear a great interview you did with JJ and all the boys as well, and Dom and everyone about how you can lose tenths so quickly in a wing car, particularly at a place like Knoxville. I think you said you missed the bottom a few times and it was like, wait, where did they go? It happens that quickly.
Yeah, Knoxville is like a place just because like the bottom, like when you go to try to hit it, attempt to hit it, because I don't think I have yet once hit it right. But when you attempt to hit it, it's just a very fine line for sure. So yeah, on a half slick mile like that, when you're just trying to be so precise on the wheel and so precise on what you're doing inside of the car. And then, you blink on a little mess up, and the next thing you know, they're straight away ahead. So just being so precise in a wing car is something that takes extremely talent doing as well too. And it's something that I, took for granted as looking from the outside looking in. And when I finally get inside of the car, it's like, holy crap. I mean, these guys are, one of the best, and they're out here for a reason, and they're good at doing what they do, and they've mastered their craft from the local crowd at Knoxville to the when, nationals time. These people are phenomenal race car drivers, and they've practiced and they've done their time and they've done everything they can to be good at what they do. So yeah, just crazy how much speed you can gain and lose at places like that in a wing 410.
The Knoxville Nationals is an event that it's hard to describe until you've been there. Till you come down North Lincoln and you see that huge, big American flag, and then you see those bleachers, and you go, wow, like it's just a place that gives you goosebumps even walking around. And then the culture of being in that little town, the city of Knoxville, and going into square to the National. Did you get to go to the Nashville's kickoff party at all last year in the square?
Mm-mm,
That's
mm-mm.
pretty huge as well. A lot of people lose sight of the fact that there's actually a town in Knoxville. Like everyone thinks it's the Raceway, it's Dingus, it's Casey's, it's the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame, but there's a whole city in that little space.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, I'm probably one of those people that forget that there's a city, and like I don't know, you drive right by like the high school and stuff too as well too. So,
Yeah.
um, I mean, yeah, the only time that I've been to Knoxville is just because there's campers everywhere, almost blocking everything. So it's kind of kind of hard, I guess, to see
Yeah.
everything else just because of how much, the Nationals bring so many different people into that little small town in Iowa.
So in Australia, we don't have cheerleaders so much. We do. It's a smaller part of sport, but it's nothing like as ingrained and celebrated as it is in American sport. And I feel like you have a cheerleader as well, your own personal one that is very much hands on with your design process and your merch and a lot of that sort of stuff. And when you watch cheerleaders at a football game, you focus mostly on what's happening on the field. Then you realize that there's a really important whole other little subculture that's going on the side that's critical to the result. I feel like that's Carter for you. And could you explain to me what her role is and how you guys met and why she's such an important cheerleader for you?
Yeah, yeah, she's yeah, just like you said, the perfect cheerleader, I guess you could say. So, yeah, we met at a racetrack in 2021 in Meeker, Oklahoma. Got my first USAC midget win there. So, yeah, that's cool. We did that and everything, and then yeah, just she's phenomenal. She's just like a great person and everything, and then allowed me to when I was kind of down and out with my injury and everything, she helped me a lot through that as far as when I was just sitting around, got the itch to go racing, but I can't because I'm still healing up and everything like that. So she's been through it all, the good and the bad, and has seen every side of me. She's probably been annoyed at me at how much I hear those little race cars, in bed at night and everything when I'm watching replays or whatever. And has to put up with me on those long car rides home too when I'm either disappointed or happy or all
Yeah.
the emotions that this sport gives us. And she probably does one of the hardest jobs, and that's the merchandise and the t-shirts and all of that of keeping up track with that. And people don't realize how hard that really is and how much of a job that really is with keeping up with the designs and keeping up with the inventory and
Yeah.
counting them all. And then of course we have the this merchandise site as well online. So when we're on the road and stuff and shipping them out and everything can be a hard task. So I definitely want to do it. So when I have someone special like that does it for me, it takes a huge, load off of me for sure.
I feel like when I looked at your shop merch, page, and I looked at the pictures on your racing page, I feel like, Dathan, it was not your idea to come up with a range of toddler infant wear. I feel like that's not something you went, babe, we really should get to newborn. Like, I think that was your idea.
No, I'd be lying if I gotta take the credit for that. I mean, I want to because they sell really good, but no, that's definitely not my cup of tea. That's why I'm thankful that she takes care of all that side of things as well too, because she loves little babies and everything. So when she wanted to, come up with that idea of doing more toddler stuff and everything to get the little fans, I guess, interacted with me, it was definitely all her idea and stuff for sure.
So January is traditionally pretty busy for you, particularly as there's some big building in Tulsa that probably takes a lot of your time up. But is Australia on your radar at all, mate?
I mean, yeah, I would love to. I've never been out of the States, so like, Australia for me or New Zealand when Western Springs was really huge and stuff like that with midget racing, like, I mean, that was definitely or is on my bucket list for sure to go do. But like you said, there's that special place in Tulsa, Oklahoma in January that really has my heart. So,
Yeah.
if somehow we could, ever work around there, if I ever win that little stupid golden driller, then I would love to go to Australia and yeah, I mean, it's something that, like I said in the beginning, I just want to drive race cars and have fun doing it. So, I think Australia is a great place to go have fun, and you get to drive race cars and stuff on the side as well.
I feel like it would be very un-Oklahoman for you to drive out of your state around mid-January.
Yeah, yeah, I think it would be as well very un-Oklahoma as me as well. That's we would have to work it out, around that schedule and everything. But I mean, I have all the interest in the world to go across, the ocean and get to race sprint cars in a whole nother country would be something that I would never forget for sure.
I'm sure that Carter is watching this. We have toddlers in Australia, Carter. Okay, so just want to put that out there. We got a better beach than Oklahoma. We got plenty of those, and we got a great racing culture. Mate, it's really exciting to see the way that you're progressing and the opportunities that you're given. I feel that you're very grounded and you're very grateful for the path, and it's certainly been a broken road. Rascal Flats always say, God bless the broken road, right? I feel like it's been a broken road at times, but with the support of your family, with mum and dad, and your sisters and your brother as well, and people like Snow and people like that are on here, and the Books and I know that a lot of people support you because you're a good person, and it's cool to be a good race car driver. It's also really important to be a good person because, as you saw in 2021, the race car driver bit can be taken away in a heartbeat.
Yeah, definitely. So I wouldn't change anything that's gone over my lifetime. It's taught me a lot of good things. So like I say, just extremely thankful to be in the position that I am and all the opportunities that I've gotten through along the way and all the people that I've met. It's been a good little run so far.
So you're in Kansas for a couple of days. High Limit is racing there, which is super cool. I think there's some schedules in Texas, and then you head off again. Try and juggle some non-winning stuff as well as midget racing, as well as sprint cars. It's an amazing life that you're building. Could have gone to the NBA like Shawanda, but you got to focus on these things with wheels. Mate, it's really good to catch up with you. I can't wait to see you back at Knoxville. The Knoxville Nationals is the granddaddy of them all. The new building in Turn 2, that incredible Albar building looks unbelievably cool now as well. So they keep investing back into Knoxville Raceway, which is what I love about it. Can't wait to see you back at the Marion County Fairgrounds real soon, mate.
Yeah, yeah, it's a special place for sure. But I would say it's about second of the granddaddy, y'all. The Chili Bowl's got to be number one on my list. So I'll forever hold that grudge for sure.
All right, it is the granddaddy of them all outdoors. You can't get me on
Perfect.
that one, all right?
Perfect. I agree with that. That sounds better.
There's full bore indoors and there's full bore outdoors. Okay.
Yep. Yep. I agree with that. I
We'll
agree with that one.
compromise. We'll compromise. Hey, it's good to see you, mate. Good luck tomorrow night, and good luck on the weekend. And thank you so much for your time on the Tuesday night slide this week. And I'm looking forward to seeing when I get over there, mate.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
What a great young man, no doubt about it. And keep an eye on what Daison Pursley is up to with his whole program with so many different classes that he's running and his merch and all that groovy stuff. Knoxville Raceway is going off at the moment. Hey, super cool too. Congratulations to Linton Jeffrey. I think I saw Blake Anderson comment that he won his 50th heat race at the Knoxville Raceway just recently, which is super cool. And come on, Kerry Madsen. I think the Vermeer team's starting to really get up there as well. Have a wonderful week, everybody. Thank you for your time. Look forward to talking to you this time next weekend on the Knoxville Raceway, Tuesday night or Wednesday night slide. Next week, we're back to